All right, I think we are good to go ahead and kick things off. Thank you again for joining us today. Quick introductions. My name is Claire Littell, and I'm joined today by Matt Wetmore. We're going to start off with an overview of Wrangle, including ticketing and workflows, and then go into a live demo of each, and then we'll finish up with some Q&A. Feel free to add any questions as we go along in the chat, and we'll address them at the end. And just a heads up, this webinar is going to be available to rewatch on demand after it's over. So just head back over to your original registration confirmation, and you'll be able to view it again later. And with that, let's go ahead and get started. So let's kick it off with a quick overview of Wrangle and what it does. Wrangle is a Slack app that helps you transform your Slack workspace into an internal help desk using a combination of ticketing and workflows. You're probably already getting requests from your colleagues in Slack. With Wrangle, you can manage those requests in a way that provides better transparency to your requesters and improved visibility and reporting into the time your team spends responding to those requests. Something we hear a lot from users is that before they implemented Wrangle, they knew they were spending a lot of time responding to those inquiries in Slack, but they didn't really know how much time. But after implementing Wrangle, they not only saw exactly how much time and effort went into those requests, but they could also reliably track improvements in time and money saved as they got more efficient handling those requests over time. So how does this help IT teams? We commonly see IT teams use Wrangle for help desk tickets. Think turning those like "my computer's broken" DMs into tickets, as well as for more structured processes like access requests, security reviews, and so on. And you can manage these all fully from Slack while still maintaining a complete audit trail of who did what, who approved what, and when. And before we dig into the specifics, here is an overview of some other common Wrangle use cases we see across other departments. Today, obviously, we're focusing on IT, but you can see we also support common processes for teams like finance, HR, marketing, and more. So let's dig in a bit more on the tools that Wrangle has to help you with those different use cases, starting with tickets. With a Wrangle ticketing inbox, you can easily transform messages into tickets, giving your requesters an experience they'll love and your agents an easy-to-use inbox for resolving those questions you get from Slack. Since your requesters are already in Slack, Wrangle tickets give you what you need to meet them where they are, while also providing SLAs, notifications, CSAT surveys, and more. And moving on to workflows, workflows help you automate your business processes using a combination of approvals, forms, and tasks. They can be as simple as just one step or as complex as using conditional logic to dynamically populate different steps throughout the workflow. Any process you have with a clearly defined set of steps can be turned into a workflow. Some common workflows we see on the IT side include access requests, change requests, equipment ordering, security reviews, and so on. We also provide reporting so you can easily visualize your request volume, time to first response, time to resolution, and more. And we also have CSV exports so you can drill down even further into your ticket and workflow data. And finally, we use Zapier to connect to thousands of core apps like G Suite, Salesforce, QuickBooks, and more. You can kick off a ticket or workflow using triggers from other apps, or you can use a completed workflow or ticket to launch an action in another app. All right, so now I'm going to hand things over to Matt, who's going to walk us through setting up an IT inbox, as well as using an access request workflow.
Awesome. Thanks, Claire. So let me share my screen now, and we'll go through setting up an inbox as if it is day one with Wrangle. So once you do install Wrangle into your Slack workspace, you can hop over to the Wrangle dashboard, and that's going to be our web app. And before you can start in creating tickets and workflows, you actually need to set up an inbox and set up a workflow first in order to do so. So let's hop over to the web app and let's create a new inbox. So I'll go to inboxes here. Here's our current ones, but we're gonna just create a new one right from scratch. And this will be webinar IT help. We'll name this inbox. And we can give some instructions. Send all your IT questions here. And then we need to select a channel that these questions will then post to. So for this one, I am going to search our channel and I'm going to have it post and be associated with our webinar IT help desk channel. We'll go next. And now I can add some admins or agents to our inbox. And these will be the designated people for this queue that will solve these questions. So on my team, I have Claire. So I'm going to add her and she will be an agent of this inbox. And I will also add Adam Smith because he is also an agent. And now I have 3 agents who can now help me answer the questions of my team. And there are other roles and permissions you can set these to as well that we can get into later with further questions such as observer and requester, and you can even block people from being able to request a ticket to this inbox entirely. So I'll go next, and here's where we'll set up some of our automations and settings to tweak this inbox exactly the way we want it. So first off, is how do you want tickets to be created? You can either have them created manually, meaning users will go to the Slack app and clicking the button Start Ticket, or you can just turn a message that is an issue into a ticket manually. The other option is you can turn new channel messages into tickets automatically. So any new message that would pop up in our channel here, Webinar IT Help Desk, would automatically be turned into a Wrangle ticket. For now, we'll just keep it on manual. And now I can add some other features such as SLAs. I can auto assign my ticket across all 3 of us, myself, Claire, and Adam. So anytime a new ticket comes in, it auto assigns it to us. I can also add notifications to the requester so that they know when a ticket is being worked on and when a ticket has been resolved. And lastly, we can also set some post-resolution automations, including reopening a ticket. If someone comes back to a closed ticket and says, hey, this still isn't working, and they just reply in the thread, Wrangle will automatically open up the ticket again, saying this is pending. And then lastly, you can send a customer satisfaction score at the end where they could rate how well your team resolved their issue from 1 to 5. For now, I think I want to enforce an agent first response time. I would love to make sure that no tickets go more than a week without a resolution. So it will notify the 3 members of my IT team. I will have it auto assign to a new agent, and I'll notify the requester when a ticket is solved and closed. Actually, just for sake of example, let me turn this off real quick, and we can go through that later. Then the last feature would be adding form fields. So in IT, maybe you need to ask a few other questions about their issue that you want to gather as an intake form when they create a ticket. And you can select different question types like numbers, select from a list, like what type of issue is this? And you could say like a network issue, and I'll have another option for hardware, Wi-Fi, whatever it may be. And you can add as many types of questions as you want. And for now, I'll leave that just blank because it could be customized specific to your needs. And I'll save our changes. And we are ready to create some tickets for our IT team. And once you do have the inbox set up, you can find all those settings that we just played around with on the side panel to the left and go back and tweak them as needed. And we do have a few other features such as tags, where I could add a tag, such as network, I want to track my network issues, and then I want to track which tickets are also hardware. Maybe another one would be password reset. That way, when a ticket comes in, I can just tag it to this other subcategory. And that way I can go back and find it later. There's also, oops, let me save that before I go. We also have a canned reply feature as well, where you can say password reset, and I could say, to reset your password, do all of these things. That way I can have a really quick reply to this here in the web app. So that is creating a ticket inbox from scratch. Now let's actually see what this will actually do now that we're back in Slack. So say I have I have a message that comes through in a channel and it says, hey there, I'm having trouble logging into Outlook. It could be anywhere in Slack that this message lives. And you can take any message in any channel and you can turn it into a ticket to be sent to your inbox specifically. So Matt needs help here. He's having trouble logging in. So if I say more action, I can start a ticket directly from Matt's reply. It pulls in his reply and the author of the comment. And now I just need to select that I need to send this to webinar IT help because it is an IT issue and Matt's Outlook login. And I'll start the ticket. It replies to Matt automatically and says, hey, Matt, I've created this ticket. Here's the link to track your request. Here it is. And now the ticket lives in our webinar IT help desk channel. You can see that lit up right here. And here I can see, hey, Matt has started ticket number 768. And if I go into the reply, we can now see our ticket. And I can claim this ticket. It notifies Matt that we're working on it. Hey, send a screenshot. We can have a conversation right here in the thread, which is tracked. And I can reset the status to on hold. Maybe I'm out to lunch. I can reassign this to another agent of mine. So I want Claire to work on this now. And then we do have more features on the side as well, such as maybe I want to add some followers to have eyes and ears on this ticket. I could change the inbox entirely. Maybe this is not a IT issue for Outlook. Maybe it's actually like a product, a vendor issue. So I could change the inbox and send it over to our product team. I can add priorities and tags, and then I could even close out this ticket and suggest a specific workflow for the user to fill out. But I'll go ahead and close out this ticket because I fixed their issue. And now Matt is notified that their ticket has been resolved and everything is good to go. So that's an example of taking a message somewhere in Slack and turning it into an IT ticket, whether that be a DM or they're talking in another channel about their issue. We can snag that and send it where it needs to go. But from starting a ticket just from scratch of, hey, I need to just send a ticket. I know it's a ticket and I need to create one as a user. Users can go to the Wrangle app and they can start their tickets right from here. And it pulls up that same interface right in Slack where they never have to leave. And they can say, I have an IT issue, so I'm going to send it to my IT channel. And it's going to be access to a piece of software. And I could add details. And I'll start my ticket. And boom, as a user, I don't need to know who all is a part of the IT team, what their process is, where their channel is. I can just create my ticket and I am done. And what's really handy is that here in Slack, in their Wrangle app, each user has their own personalized dashboard to see where all of their Wrangle items live. So instead of trying to go back and track through a channel, dig through their threads and mentions, they can come right to the Wrangle app and instantly see where all of their tickets are. So the ticket I just made, access to a piece of software, is new. I created it today. It lives in this channel. Let me see what the status is. I click on it, and boom, it pulls up the thread where that ticket is. So this is one way that users can create tickets manually right here in the Slack app. The last way to create a ticket, and what we saw in our first, if you remember when we created our inbox, the very first question in automations was, how do you want to create tickets? Manually or turn new channel messages into tickets? If you had selected, I want this to create tickets automatically by any new channel message, this is what that would look like. I have an Ask Legal channel where we can ask, maybe this could be an Ask IT channel. And a user knows, hey, I just come here and I ask legal art questions. I need help with that. Wrangle will take that message and transform it into a ticket automatically for your team to then go in and claim or auto assign and work on the ticket. So those are the few ways that you can create tickets as a user. Either directly through the app through Start a Ticket, we can turn messages into tickets manually here, or you can set up an Ask channel. There's also a quick command /ticket where you can pull up the new ticket interface as well. So those are tickets in a nutshell here in Slack. Before I hop over to the web app to show you the ticket side of things from that perspective, let's actually do a workflow real quick. Probably a workflow that many of you get quite often, which is going to be someone need access to a piece of software like Outlook or Salesforce, HubSpot, and there's a step-by-step procedure that needs to happen. And that is the main difference between a ticket and a workflow. Ticket is more of a hand-raising two-dimensional issue. The Wi-Fi is down, need a password reset, something like that. And a workflow is going to be a more three-dimensional issue that requires step-by-step procedure, whether it be approvals, we need a form filled out, and certain task lists to do. And it can flow and notify the right people through Slack. And as Claire mentioned, you can also use conditional logic to alter its course depending on how someone answered the question. So let's do an IT access request. I am a general user here, and I'm a new employee, and I need access to Salesforce. So how will that look for me as the user, and how will that look for you as the IT team that need to fulfill the request? So let's start the workflow. And you can see I have a dropdown, and these are all of my company's workflows. You can use users and permissions in the settings to adjust this. So not everyone has access to all of the workflows, but I'll just search IT access, and I'll use our webinar one here. And I will start our workflow. And now we have a form to fill out. And these form question types and the number of questions are all customizable. You can have as few or as many as you'd like. But for now, this is our simple example. So which system or systems do you need access to? And for this instance, we need Salesforce. And I need access because I'm a new employee and Matt is my manager. I'm going to submit this. And then again, as a general user, the great thing about Wrangle is they don't need to know the ins and outs of who to contact and where to go. I've sent off my request and I just am waiting for it to be resolved. But my IT help desk channel did light up, and right below our last ticket, we do see an instance of an IT access request where we need access to Salesforce. Matt started it in progress, and we need manager approval. I put myself as the manager because I need to approve this. So as the manager, I could come in and say, let's view the form. All right, Salesforce, new employee, next manager. Okay, yeah, that looks good. I can approve this. But I could request him to change something that didn't look right or reject it entirely. And it shows who we're waiting on a response from. So I'll go ahead and approve. And now we have a new step here, which is we need some more information because we have a conditional logic step in this form, which means that if I select Salesforce, I need to get some more information about Salesforce. So I have to complete this form now, and it's assigned to Claire and myself. So I need to confirm the Salesforce license software type. And for this one, I know Matt, he's a new employee, so he is just going to need the regular Salesforce license. So now that step is completed, and now the next step forms as another reply in the thread, which is actually go in there and add the software seat and provide access to Matt. And you can see this is assigned to Claire, Carter, and myself, and we're tagged here. And I'll go ahead and complete that step. And now the original requester who needed Salesforce is notified saying that their request has completed all the steps in the workflow. They now have access to Salesforce. And this was a fairly short workflow, but we did have a conditional logic step in there because if I did select that we needed access to Notion, it wouldn't obviously need to ask me what type of license I needed for Salesforce. So you can really be creative and clever with how you build out the workflow to get exactly the information that you need. So now that we've done a ticket in a workflow, let's hop over to the web app again and take a look of how it looks like from that side, which is probably where most of the IT leaders will be looking at the metrics and things like that. So I want to view my tickets that I created in this IT inbox here. So when I view my tickets, I can see them all right here. For this instance, we just have two. I can go back and see Matt Outlook login ticket, ticket number 768. I can see all of the timestamped data of what happened with this ticket, but I could also come in here and take action, reassign it to on hold, add followers, switch it back over to myself to work on. And the cool thing is that this right here is not just a static picture of the Slack thread. This is actually the live Slack thread. So I could say, hey, I'm working on this ticket again from the web. And when I go back over to Slack and I go to my tickets that I created, I can see, hey, I'm working on this ticket again from the web. So it's a live Slack thread for this ticket. That way I don't have to context switch back and forth as you're working on your IT tickets. And you can do all the same action and resolve your tickets just like we can do in Slack. We can do all of the same things right here in the web app. And then lastly, I'll go to a different inbox that we have a little bit more history on, but you can search through all of your master tickets across all inboxes. You can sort by tags, by who requested them, who's assigned by, really hone in on what you want to find. But we do, as Claire mentioned before, have some really nice reporting about ticket volume, your top requesters, how often you get tickets, how well your team is doing at solving them. It can crunch your satisfaction scores. We have that setting turned off here for this inbox, so it shows a 0. But that information would show here, and then get more information based on per agent to see how each agent is doing. And then you can also export this as a CSV. Similarly for workflows, let's take a look at that real quick. We can go to our IT access request workflow for webinar right here. And we can see our completed workflow that we just did for Salesforce. And any pending ones would show up on that list. So if I click into Salesforce here, I can see our form data. I can see when this was started. Everything is timestamped. And I also can see when and who took action on every single step with a timestamp. So this is great for this exact example for IT access requests, going back through when you're doing data security or logs or reporting to really see a full list of things and who took action, who did not. And again, just like with tickets, you do get reporting. This is a bad example to show because we only have done one, but that would show up there. And then if we look at the design, here's where it can really get fun. And you can spend some time really tweaking this to be exactly the way you want to save time in the end. So we have our intake form. And we can add many different question types. And then each step either consists of a task list, a form, or an approval. So our next step after the intake form, hey, what do you need? Is going to be this manager approval. So who needs to approve this? Here we have it selecting whoever the person chose as their manager in the form. It will send it to them. But we could also say specific people, like I always want Claire and Matt to approve all of these. And I don't just want one, maybe I want both of them. Like they both have to sign off on this. And I could choose where this step posts in. We have a reminder to remind Claire and Matt if they don't approve this within a weekday, it will mention them. And then here you saw that we have confirm Salesforce license type. So if they selected an option here, which is which system do you need access to? And I have my list of options. If they picked Calendly, well, we don't really need to ask them for a Salesforce license type for Calendly. So this would be a pointless question. But when we turn on only run this step under certain conditions, we can say only run this Salesforce license question if the system that they selected is Salesforce. In this form that they need to fill out, it's going to ask them from this pick list what type of license they need. So that is a really good example of using conditional logic to really hone in on getting more information or sending it to a certain person if the cost of a license is X amount and things like that. I will leave it at that and kick it back over to Claire to see if there was any questions or if there was any insights from anyone before we wrap up.
Thank you, Matt. Let me share my screen again. All right, so before we dive into Q&A, I'll just go a little deeper into some of the features that we discussed today. It's just a quick breakdown here of what we share between ticketing inboxes and workflows, and then also what you can expect that is unique to each. So tags, CSAT surveys, and canned replies are unique to tickets, whereas conditional logic for those better defined processes is unique to workflows. And here is a quick breakdown of our pricing. We charge $25 per month per user, and we include 10 users. Users include inbox and workflow admins, inbox agents, and workflow assignees. Everyone else is free. So all of your requesters for both tickets and workflows are going to be free and not included or not counting towards your total. We do also offer 20% off if you upgrade to annual. All right, so now we will pause here for Q&A. I see we had a couple of questions about some of the features that we discussed but didn't show. So Matt, if you wouldn't mind showing us canned replies on the web, as well as the suggest a workflow.
Yeah, happy to do that. Let me hop over and share my screen again, and we can do the suggest a workflow. Let me share my screen. So when a ticket comes in, or even if it's not a ticket and it's just a general message, hey, I need access to X, you can, with more actions, suggest a Wrangle workflow for them to fill out specifically. And I say this is the IT access request, and we'll suggest that to them. And it will reply and say, hey, Matt, we use this Wrangle workflow to manage requests. It's all selected for you, so they need to hit one button, and they are good to go. They don't have to search for it. Now, the same thing is also true for a ticket. So if there was a ticket like this ticket here, I could use the more actions and suggest that same workflow for them to fill out. and it will close out the ticket and tell Matt, hey, here is a workflow for you to fill out. And it selects it automatically right there.
And then if you wouldn't mind also canned replies on the web for tickets.
Yes. So if you remember when we set up our inbox here originally for webinar IT help, we have our canned replies. And I made one for a reset a password, and here's some not so helpful instructions, but here's some instructions. That way I don't have to type this out every single time to reset the password. Now, when I go to my tickets, Math Outlook login, I can press / and in the web app, I can then see my canned reply. And if I had many of them, like as I type password, it will, filter them down to which ones include password. And as I click on that, my canned reply is right there. That way, I don't have to retype this every single time when I'm trying to help the user out. And you can add as many, canned replies into your inbox as you need. And those are right here. And these are for when you're replying into the web app.
And while you've got that open, another question we had is, how do I see all of my billable users? So yeah, if you wouldn't mind showing us the billing tab where we can track all of that info.
Absolutely, yep. Billing tab is going to be down here on the left-hand side, and it will show you how many users that you're on currently this month, as well as your active users. So you have an instant look at who all is included in your billing. And a billable user is someone who is an agent of a ticket inbox where they answer the questions and claim these tickets, or they are assigned to do work in a workflow, whether that is a approval or a task list. And as you can see, Andrew, he only answers questions for the legal team inbox, so he counts as one user. But Claire and I, we're a part of several workflows and several inboxes. And again, we each count as one user. So it doesn't matter how many you're a part of, that counts as a single billable user.
Awesome, thank you. And then we've got one last question here, which is just if we could go back one more time and explain the difference between tickets and workflows and when to use each.
Yep. So a ticket is going to be a more, like I said, a two-dimensional question that is just basically a status of this issue. Is this issue that I asked resolved? Is it on hold? What are we doing to work on this? It's more like a hand-raising type of question. And a workflow is going to be a SOP related, a step-by-step procedure that we need, whether we need a form filled out, an approval, or a task list. And it's really up to you and how you want to structure your IT team's ticket inboxes and what you want workflows for. But the convenient thing is that even if someone does create a ticket or create a workflow, you can always suggest that workflow to be completed if it's a multi-step process. So your user, they don't need to just always remember which is which. Most of the time they're going to create a ticket, and then you can suggest workflows for them based off of that.
All right, awesome. Thanks so much. So that was it for our Q&A. So I appreciate everybody's time today. Thank you for joining us. As a reminder, you'll be able to rewatch this webinar on demand after the fact. Just go back to your original registration confirmation and you'll be able to view it from there. And if you have any questions for us that didn't come up today, or you just want to chat further, let us know. You can reach us via the live chat on our website, or you can email us at support@wrangle.io. So thanks again, everybody, for joining us, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome. Thank you.